Well, it's an exciting day. I got something to look at here that I've been looking forward to. But first, a little legal disclaimer. I did request this as a review sample. Basically, the agreement is that they sent this to me at no cost, and I'm going to do some videos on it. So that won't really change my opinions on how I look at it, because I judge things based on what they are and what their cost is when I do my reviews. So inside this box here is a Sliger CX3702 NAS case and the rails that are compatible with it. The retail price for it is $369, including shipping to the continental US. And that's price seems like it's high, but once you see the features, you kind of realize that you're actually getting a good value for your money. The UPS wasn't too kind to this box, unfortunately, but this one seems to have done okay. The rail box, not so great. Now, I'm not sure what happened here, but the bottom tape got slashed through pretty bad. And that's kind of why you should always tape your seam, but also your flaps. In the previous video, I did critique the fact that they don't go all the way across with the tape, which, I mean, it seems really fine. It's just a personal obsession of mine with packaging. They are using a premium fiberglass-backed paper tape, though, so this is way more durable than the cheap plastic tape that I use for my stuff. And we will just cut inside. There we go. Of course, it's always harder to do something with a tripod in the way. Alrighty. Should open the bottom. It was already halfway open. And yeah, in the case of this package here, this is just UPS's fault. They clearly didn't feel like being very nice to the package. And like with my other case that I bought, this is a nice double wall box, very heavy duty. Ooh. And they've upped their packaging since my last case. So my previous case, they used this expanding foam bag stuff, but now we got this really nice, I believe this should be low density polyethylene foam. I really like that. That's a really nice improvement. And your accessories are basically sitting on a foam raft. Only thing I would say about this is, since it is on top, there is the potential for stuff to get damaged. I would prefer to almost see a little bit more recess on this. Honestly, it'd be even better to have it internally. Also, paperwork here. I won't have to edit. The rail kit is the GD Rail 20XX Sliger rack mount general devices rail kit, 20-inch slide with all extensions, minimum 21-inch, max 37-inch. Oh, and also the case. This is a 3U case, 18-inch deep. It'll hold 10 3.5-inch drives, designed for an SFX power supply and MicroATX motherboard. It has spaces for 220mm fans, 10 3.5-inch drives, 4 2.5-inch drives, and the really cool thing that I don't know if is going to carry over to their other case designs, but this has a magnetically attached front panel with dust filter. So, I'm going to pull the accessories out of the way here. And let's get this case out. Yeah, I really like this foam. This is like the pinnacle of packaging materials. The expanding foam is great. I guess technically you could argue that the expanding foam is probably better. But I really like this stuff because it's really durable and it's easy to reuse, unlike the expanding foam. And the shipping weight for this case was a lot heavier than my 4U one, which is kind of crazy. But once you see the inside, you'll see that there's a lot more structure to it than the oh shoot, I forget what I got. I might have to just step aside and look real quick. I don't really think about it as much as I probably should. Alright, I had to look. My case that I bought for my personal PC is the CX4150. So, let's see here. Got tripod in the way. Not that it matters, but I like to open my stuff nicely because if I ever need to repackage it for whatever purpose, I have all the stuff. Really, I'd only need to pre-package it for transportation purposes though. And even then, I don't know if I would need to do that. Alrighty. So, here's the case. Just admire this magnetic faceplate here. Oh, it's fantastic. I love it. And the dust filter is screwed into the faceplate. The black front looks nice. I like the hex guns too. It really stands out from a design standpoint because no one else does it. But here's the front of it. You got all your drive bays here, along with your front I/O. Looks like there is a bit of a gap here. I'm a little surprised there's not a wall. So right off the side of this is where your 2.5 inch drives go, I believe. I think so. I might want to look at the accessory kit here real quick. There might be stuff I need to know about. I don't know if that key is going to stop me from doing anything. Alright, yeah, it's just a standard rack here and screw kit. Well, that's interesting. The screws come with some thread locker pre-applied. And the rails, looks like they're still, one side goes one way. So that's something you'll have to keep in mind during assembly. I'm not 100% certain what the key does, but I think I'm going to look at the accessory kit real quick just in case I need that key. And this does come with some cables and stuff. So here's all the hard drive mounting screws. And the nice thing about this is this doesn't use some annoying proprietary caddy, as I complained about with the previous video about some custom build cases I have. Now if you lose these screws, it is going to suck, but this is something where like you should be able to fairly easily 3D print a replacement, and I might design something. One thing I think would have been cool with this is if these were rubber mounted for shock absorption. Only bummer is the rubber that people use tends to break down over time because that's just how life works. So this is going to be a more long-lasting solution versus if it was a screw that was overmolded with rubber. It's more likely going to break down in time, but it'll be nicer in the short term. Looks like we get some power splitter cables here. What do we got? So we got a 1 to 5 splitter. Seems a bit long. We got a pair of those. Also, this is actually kind of cool. They give you a pair of spare SAS to SATA adapters. This is what they're using for their pass-through rather than a backplane, which I think is great because I do not have a clue what it takes. Alright, Cameron, don't do that. What it takes to like design a backplane. And then on top of that, like, these are going to be fairly user replaceable compared to a backplane. And on top of that, if they break and you can't buy them anymore, I imagine you could still probably shove the cables through the chassis. So, just trying to see here. Curious. So it comes with a key for something. I think I'm going to have to take the cover off though to see what that's about. Ooh, that cover came off really nice. And still has their pins that they do. Initially, in my other case, I kind of hated them just because I felt like they were difficult to deal with. And they are to some degree. The thing that I've noticed is over time, if you open and close things a couple times, they tend to kind of loosen up. I don't know if maybe like there's some machining oil or something that's left over on them that makes it so they kind of they're a bit of a tight fit. But honestly, the more I've thought about it over time and stuff, it's actually a really fantastic design because it gives you the ability to have a motherboard tray and you're not losing a lot of depth to the way you attach the tray to the case. On top of that, they've managed to accomplish a removable motherboard tray and still not lose a ton of space to the standoffs, because some of the other cases I have, like the Roswell one I'm working on for my home NAS, the standoffs are like, I don't know, they're like that tall practically, and it's just a lot of wasted space. But with this, I mean, this is like probably the ultimate way to optimize your space utilization. And it seems to be a fairly durable design too, because I don't even know how they're attaching these. I don't know if I can't see. You can see the there it is. You can see where they put it through. I don't know how they attach these. I think this is a friction fit thing where they press it in. It's not spot welded. You can, if you're not careful, you can pull these kinds of things out that are pressed into the steel, but it definitely is more reliable than trying to thread something into the thin steel. And spot welding, I don't know. I mean, maybe spot welding would be more reliable. I find it hard to believe, since when you weld stuff, it changes the property of the material because you've heated up that spot, and what is it, annealing, I think maybe is what ends up happening. But yeah, anyways, so we got top off, see the inside. So I don't really want to take one of these out. Oh well, I should have grabbed a baggie. I really like their design for the hard drive mounts. So these will screw into the side of the drive. I should just grab a drive. Alrighty, so these just screw into the side of the drive. I wonder where they go positionally. Let's see here. Alright, so label side goes to the right of the case. And then looks like front and back holes. I would recommend using a screwdriver to screw them in, just because you don't want them to loosen up on you. They might fall into the case or get you in a position where they're stuck. I've seen this happen with the Dell optical drives for the 5 1/4 inch ones, because they use a screwing system like this. And if the screw gets loose, you get caught up in weird vines and stuff. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to put this together for demonstration purposes. So cool thing about this is it just slides in. Do I have it? I think, yeah, it's an unlocked position. There we go. It's odd. Oh, I have it the wrong way. Alright, label goes to the left side of the case. That's why. It's like, that should go in pretty easy. But yeah, this is a fantastic design. I love this. Actually, it looks like, I don't know if they give you enough screws, but there's spaces for 3. Oh, I like that. Okay. Something I was wondering about. So they give you spaces for 3 screws on the hard drive. Whether they give you enough screws for that, I don't know for certain without taking them out and counting. That'd probably be for a different video. 6 screws might be a little overkill, I don't know. But, oh, I love that. That's way better than I could have expected. So I understood how this mechanism was going to work by looking at the pictures. I knew it would slide back and forth and then grab onto the screws. And then once you have it locked into place, oh, that's solid. Oh, that's nice. I like that. That is really nice. I was not sure how the mechanism was, how you would interact with it. And that was something I was kind of worried about pre-review sample, because it's like, how is this going to work? Because the whole point of having front bays is be able to access them and work with the drives from the front. And that's what these 2 thumb screws are here for. I mean, it should have been obvious, but I wasn't certain. But oh, this is great. I love this. This is just fantastic, and it feels so good. It slides so nice. And then yeah, you just tighten the screws. I'm not sure what this key does yet. Maybe this key is what locks that into place. Oh man, that is cool. That is slick. I love that. Yeah, this is like, oops, this is great design. I love this. Is that on? No, it's not unlocked. Uh-oh. I might be having a little bit of a problem here. I don't know what I did though. I don't think. Huh. Well, what did I do? Oh, that's just I don't like how that felt. So locking smooth, but unlocking, maybe it's just the mech. Alright, no, it's smoother now. It just needed to be worked, that's all. But yeah, this is kind of cool. The only thing I don't like about things that use keys like this is if you ever lose this key, you're probably in trouble. I don't know if oh, all right, never mind. There is no there's no keying. It's more of a tool than a key, to be honest. It's just a smooth barrel with a pin that interacts with the thing. So it's not the end of the world. This is something that probably could be dealt with if you were to be unfortunate enough to lose them. But yeah, I love that mechanism. That's just great. Now, to remove the drive. Removing the drives might be a little tricky because you're not going to have a lot of room to grab them with your fingers. I don't know how that's going to look. I just need to grab another drive. Alright, I got another drive. So, let's see, it's like 2 drives installed. Oh, okay. No, it won't be bad. It's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world either. I mean, because you're getting a lot here. if you're using caddies, like it'd be easier to remove the drive. But considering that this is a custom build, and anything custom build caddies are just sad in the long run. Like this is, I'm fine with this. I like this actually. I'm happy with how that is. Oh man, I love this so much. So that's just the front drive there. Now I gotta do the back stuff. And their motherboard tray design is similar to my other case. And cool thing about this is all modular. My assumption is this is basically the same front assembly as they use in their CX3701. There we go. Yeah, actually, I'm just looking at the manual, or not the invoice. Just gonna fold this so my personal information is not showing. Yeah, so they're kind of interchanging parts, which is great because I mean that's how it should be. It should be if you have two products that are similar in design, why not use the same parts? It gets your costs down and it makes a better product for the customer. Alright, so first time pulling out the motherboard tray is kind of tricky because it ends up being a tight fit. I don't know where I want to grab it because try not to break anything. It's just the two screws, right? Yeah. Oh. Is that attached? I don't think it is. We'll just unscrew this. So they have a mounting bracket on the side here for the exhaust fan. I don't want to mix these screws up because I have a feeling they're slightly different. Yep. I don't think this is holding the motherboard tray on, but probably should check to be certain. No, it's not. And I don't know if you necessarily have to. Oh wait, no, you would. Oops. Let me go this way. Which way? Was it like that? Probably should have paid closer attention. Alright. I'd have to double check. I don't remember if they actually said. I think you might be able to remove this. This is for a 120mm fan. I think that might be 80mm spacing or 92. Interesting. There are some considerations you're going to need to take for fan thickness, or they pointed out if you plan on going with a water cooler, it needs to be a thin radiator so it'll fit the fan and then you get the power supply and stuff. Just trying to figure out a good way to get this motherboard tray out. I think I'm just going to do this off camera with the tripod out of my way. Alright, well, it took some percussive maintenance to get the tray out. It was kind of stuck. Basically what I ended up doing was I braced the front of the case with one hand, and then I gently kind of tapped the side of my hand on the back plate like that. I don't know what the solution is to make this looser, short of just pulling in and out a few times. I'm guessing due to how they, I'm assuming like these are laser cut. there's probably like the tolerances of what their laser can cut would either make it just right or too big. But I think if it's something you're going to take out in and out more than once, the thing that might try doing is just spraying these points down with rubbing alcohol and giving a good wipe down with a lint-free cloth. But here's the motherboard tray. I did end up taking out the power supply mount. This is set up for an SFX power supply, which would mount here. The power cord's a little bit disappointing. It feels really thin and flimsy. It is supposed to be, where's the label? 18 gauge. I don't remember how many watts 18 gauge is good for. I'll have to look that up, I guess, and put it in the description. I believe PC Part Picker was putting me around 750 watts for power supply, which would be, oh, math is hard. I think 7.5 amps max draw. So 12 gauge is 20 amp, 14 gauge is 15. So this might be borderline. Luckily it is a fairly easy part to replace. I think the hardest part is probably getting this through the opening though, since, I mean, the opening's about same size. You probably rotate one in. So I think if you're going to run this under really high powers, you're probably going to want to upgrade the power cord to something a little bit nicer. It would have been nice to see like a 16 gauge cord instead of an 18. This I think it's going to kind of put you on the edge. I don't think this is really intended though for high performance compute either. So it's kind of neither here nor there, I suppose. But yeah, just, you know, your typical Sliger motherboard tray though. I mean, enjoy to work with once you get it out. Honestly, you shouldn't really have to take it in and out more than a few times anyways, but just seems like for sure the first initial time it's particularly difficult to get them out and in. I remember this now. It's not quite in the right spot, but it's close. Let's see if we can get it out easily enough. Yeah. Once you work it a few times, it does get better though. So yeah, that's still a nice feature to have though. I mean, so nice to be able to just remove the whole motherboard, especially when if you're used to doing stuff like that in a server environment. So one other thing I wanted to show, which might be hard to do, is the mechanism that locks the drives in place. I gotta shift stuff around here. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this very easily. So, ouch. Maybe we can more zoom. That drive locking mechanism is, alright, it's towards the middle of the screen now. So you see the black linkage? That's what the key interacts with, and then it pushes this whole bar assembly up and down. And that looks like alright, I understand how this works now. It pushes that bar up through this notch here, and that's what locks it into place. It's not, I don't know how I feel about it. I think it would have been better if that keying mechanism would have been up top, and then it was just this isn't rectangle, but pretend this is rectangular shaped. I think it would have been better if it was the traditional whatever kind of lock this is, and then you have a rectangle screwed onto it, and then that rotates up into place to lock it. I don't know if there would have been space probably to put something like that up here, but it should be fine. My biggest concern is when I look at this is, I mean, it already did kind of bind on me a little bit because it hadn't been worked over yet, but you see there's those two screws there, and then there's the screw on the locking mechanism as well. If any of those back out, you might be in for a bad time. If that one backs out and just disappears, it's not that big of a deal because you can always take the cover off and then push that down. If the other one's back out, I'm not sure. I have to look at that again. Think about it. Let's lock this though. Oops. I'll lose the keys. So now it's in the locked position. You see the tab sticking out there. And you can see it's vertical now. So we get the camera to focus a little better. There we go. Now I think actually if the screws fall out of any of the spots, I think you'd be able to push it back down. It's probably not how I would have done it. Not that I'm an expert of any kind with designing this stuff, but it's interesting. It is nice to have a locking feature though, because I mean there are probably some people where they're actually going to want that. Mine, I'll probably just leave it unlocked in all honesty, and then find somewhere nice to stow the key. But one other thing I did notice is these cables do go through the path where your 4 2.5-inch drives go. So I don't know from a routing standpoint how that's going to work out. So I'm going to push them against the back wall, but that's going to kind of get in your way. I think ideally what you're going to want to do is route those cables between this position and this position, between the drives, because that's going to put the least amount of strain on them and kind of keep them out of their way. One other thing, which I shouldn't be complaining about, but I'm going to because it's how I am. I like the included power cables, but they're not right angle, and I don't know how they're going to look spacing wise. I think with these what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to alternate every other one. Oh, I don't like that either. Alright, I guess we're starting on this side. Actually, I like the spacing now. Alright. I thought it was going to look worse, but it's actually not bad. Question is, how will these look or work with each other if you alternate like this? You are putting some strain on the cable under it. I think, oops, I didn't put all 5 of them in. I think alternating is going to be the way that makes most sense. The bummer is the cables go the wrong way, so you're going to have to like... Oh, no, actually I like that too. That's good. I was just thinking about how getting these back to the power supply is going to be messy, but no, I think that actually looks good. What really would have been nice to see is that the keying on these would have went the other way around. So you could have the side that goes in the power supply over here. Although having to run that all the way back, ooh, that didn't go in right. Having to run them all the way back is actually probably going to be better from a cable management standpoint. The thing is with these designs, they're using off-the-shelf parts versus custom designing everything to the nth degree, which is great because it makes it easier to find replacement parts, and it makes it cheaper to design, so you're not having to spend who knows how much money, to design a custom backplane. Plus, I know from personal experience how big of a pain it is to have custom cables made, But it would have been really cool if these were right angle cables and like in pairs of 5, and then they just kind of followed straight down, and then. But honestly, no, this looks way better than I thought it would. Because that was one of the other things I was kind of conflicted about. But I really like this. This actually looks nice. If you get one of these, I would stagger. I think that's the best way to do it. Because you could... Staggering is gonna be good for cable management purposes and aesthetics and airflow. But what you could do is, and you could do them every one. It's a better way. This is a better way to probably do it because less strain. You don't have something pushing down on it. But let's see how that looks. Because the other thing is, you're basically going to be right up against the MicroATX motherboard. So if you have any cards plugged into there, these cables might get in the way. I don't know. This doesn't look as pretty. Something to think about. I kind of like the stagger better, but then it kind of puts a downward force in the cables. But I don't think the loops stick out as far either. Yeah, not by much. I guess that's something I'll find out in the official build. But if it weren't so hard to have custom cables made, I'd almost like it to be a little bit different. I think I actually have some cables that are like what I'm thinking. I sold all those. Let me go look. Alright, so this is kind of what I'm thinking that I have that I like. Problem is these don't have the right spacing either since the drives are so close together. But I think from a cable management, appearance, aesthetic, whatever standpoint, I think they would look better. Well, the problem is, see, if you go every one, you get this weird, go every other. It's a little bit better. Oop. Yeah, it'd be nicer if they're right angle, but it looks like another issue is these cables, since they're not made to length, you might end up running into interference issues with the top cover. But that's something where, if anything, if you really wanted to do it, I'm guessing some of the cable mod companies could make you want, oh no, how'd that happen? Oh, yikes. So, I don't know if that's my fault. It doesn't look like it's my fault. Well, it's a good thing they come with spares. I don't know if I'm going to show it. I might have to take it out. Ooh. That's interesting. These don't. Ooh. I just noticed that the connector is kind of crooked looking. Actually, no, this one's like that. I don't even take them out. Ew. Well, that's disappointing. So you see how the power connector doesn't line up with the little locking tab, or not locking tab, keying, I guess, point. It's kind of at an angle. It should be straight on. So like, with an extra hard drive. It's not centered. That's a little worrisome. I mean, as long as it works. Interesting. So that may not be the the best. I think, if anything, over time, with something plugged into it, and then a little bit of heat, maybe it'll just kind of work itself out. You kind of notice it has a slight lean to the left because of how the stuff is curved. That's really weird. But interesting. Kind of got off track there. But yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool if they made, or somebody made, cables that were the right length to span these at a right angle. That way you get your maximum clearance. But yeah, custom made cables is a huge nightmare. I don't recommend getting into that if you haven't already done it before. my custom made Tesla cables, those took a while to get going. So, last thing I have here after all that is the rails. Unfortunately, I think this is an issue of inadequate packaging. This does feel like a single wall box, which wouldn't be a problem. The problem is there's no void fill in here. I think they might have void filled the edges a little bit. It feels like there's some foam or something. But the only way to find out is to open this. The problem with long boxes is the longer you get, the less sturdy they are. And it has nothing to do with the quality of the box, it's just how things work. Because it's just, you got that longer span that you have to be able to support. Let's see here, where's the back? You got foam on the ends. A little bit of padding in the middle. Oop. Let's see what the problem is here. Just looking at this packaging, I don't think this is their official way of packaging these. Is going to be my assumption, because you can tell that this was hand cut. It's not perfectly square. Otherwise, I think what they probably should have done, well, they would have needed a bigger box, because there's a 5-inch square box, and like basically this gap here is almost 5 inches wide. But they would want to cut it so it recesses into there, and I would do it diagonally personally, because then, what is it? The diagonal measurement of a square is 5 times the square root of 2, I think, or whatever. So you get a little bit longer diagonally, so you could get away with a 5 inch is probably still gonna be too small. You would need like a 6-inch box, but if you go diagonally, you can get a little bit more padding. So I'm gonna assume that this is not their official way of packaging their rails. Go medieval on this. I don't need to save the packaging. I am kind of curious to see what these are like. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's one. Alright. So they sent me 2 sets of rails. I don't have the ability to rail mount my CX4150, but at the same time, let's hope they didn't get bent. I think those are just pieces. So I will admit, wow, I have a little bit of a negative bias towards rails for custom build servers. Mostly because I'm used to Dell rails, and the thing about Dell rails is they're just plain fantastic. At least the modern ones are. Because they're a single piece, and then they just mount onto pins that are built in the chassis. And usually they use decent bearings and stuff, so I haven't had any problems with bearings going too crazy on me. This razor blade is about as dull as a butter knife. Oh my. Yeah, so this is a bit of an arts and crafts project, which is going to be a bit of a bummer. I need to do a dedicated video on assembling these, and let's point that down a little more, and installing them. Interesting. And these are new rails that they're trying, made by General Devices. There's even a part number on there, so that's nice. Some people aren't nice in part numbers and stuff, so if something goes wrong, it becomes mystery. But, ooh. I'm gonna assume I did something wrong there. Huh. Okay, that makes more sense. I went backwards, so it fell apart. So this is going to be the front of the rail. Just thinking. That is a really strong spring. Also, they smell funny. The paint on them smells weird. Not that it matters, but yeah. So they screw on the back here. I'm surprised that they, oh, I might need wide angle for this. This is getting too long. I'm surprised they only hold these on with 2 points. I don't understand. They sent me the manual for it, which you can get from them for upon request. They'll just email it to you. Oh, okay. It's just short and long, depending on your rack length. So how does this work? Oh. Oh, that's weird. I don't like that. It's not a bad thing what I'm thinking about. It's just, ew. So they have, so these different pieces, I believe, are for the various depths of the rack. I admit I did look at the manual, but I didn't commit it to memory. So depending on the depth of your rack will determine what piece you use in the back half. What are these for then? Definitely gonna have to read the manual. And then what are these for? Looks like that got bent in shipping a little. Those must be the front ears. I wonder if this has a cantilever mount function, maybe? I don't know. Or is that backing? Maybe that's the backing to screw into? Yeah, it's definitely something to read the manual for. Otherwise, yeah, the rails are okay. Some really strong springs there. My goodness. Could take an eye out. The painting on them, I don't know what that's all about. But I'm afraid to slide that in with my fingers nearby. Pointing away from your face. The other thing I'm wondering now is, so this is the out position. Presumably this will be the right side. So if you pull it all the way out in the rack, how do you get to this? Push it in. Because this is going to be against the inside of your rack side panel. Do you have to like reach all the way in there to do that? That can't be right. Oh, okay, I'm dumb. Doesn't make sense. You push it in, then the inner rail that connects to the case pushes on this. And then if you're not careful, it just slides all the way out the back. Oh man. Honestly, I'm being a little unfair on the rails. It's just when I look at these, I compare them to the Dell rails and my experience with Dell rails. I will say at $50, they are actually a pretty fair price, considering, because that's about what a used set of Dell rails will cost you. I think Super Micro, their 2/4U rails are like $100 new. Although I like Super Micro's mounting system. Dell's mounting system is better, but if memory serves correct, Super Micro's current rail mounting system is toolless, and toolless rails are my favorite thing. That and nice sliding bearings. These are more of a friction fit. The one nice thing about them being a friction fit like this, if I open them the right way, is the fact that these are probably going to be more durable and long-lasting than the Dell rails. The thing about these versus the Dell rails is they're just not going to slide as smoothly and nicely. You're going to get that grinding metal on metal sound. And eventually you're going to wear through the paint. But in all honesty, I mean, for $50, these are fairly nice rails. It's a strange design compared to what I'm used to coming from Dell stuff. But I think that covers everything for this video. If you made it this far, thanks. I am excited about this project. So yeah, thanks for watching.